welcome to Tato's Hardcore Media. Uh, Late night, early morning, wherever you are. Going over some stuff that I just saw um, on Twitter X here. And usually my friends here um, wanted to um, wanted to see about David Grush is making news. And I've heard about this since I was a teenager. Um, let's see. There was stuff about hybrids and also other stuff, and alien mummies in Peru. A lot of us, some of us that have done UFO ET research and stuff. You got the Nazca lines that is used by ancient astronauts, ETs. You have also um, the indigenous people there as well. Um, but I wanted to just go over some of this. This one is. The thing is, like I say, it doesn't matter to me so much what these guys say. I already know about this stuff um, and heard about it. Um, along with the Nazca lines and stuff like that, um, and how ancient astronauts, stuff like that, and everything. So this is about alien bodies in Peru. Um, you go see Peru because some of them had physiology similar to what he has seen in classified briefings. And the thing is, I want to get this classified stuff out because these rats, these dirty rats in Congress, Republicans and Democrats, want to keep it all a secret. This needs to be put out. Everything that's classified and everything. It needs to be forced out and everything. So, you know what? Let me see here. What is it for? Wonder. I have to be careful about some of these sites. Let me see. Here we show that's February 4th. Which one? I want the long version. Let's go into this. Let's see. I need to give a shout out to the in-betweens.
It's 2016.
The in-between here. Have seen her before. Shout out to her. Uh, Here's what's really going on with the Nazca mummies in Peru. Stuff I've heard about, but I want to get also, if you're interested in UFO stuff and everything, maybe she has more stuff on this kind of thing. Give her a look and everything to see what she does. Um, Let me see here.
Tomb raiders in Peru's Nazca Desert uncover something impossible. Mummies with three-fingered hands, retractable necks, and DNA less human than a turnip. Now, it's sparked an international scientific war that's still raging to this day. Are they proof of extraterrestrials, an ancient unknown species, or the greatest hoax ever perpetrated? Welcome to the In-Between. I'm Carol Ann.
Well, it doesn't seem like let's see what he has to say here. But obviously, there's truth to this. In some ways, since some truth to this stuff, since they have this behind closed doors, classified briefings, and everything. Let's take a look.
I was there to see that. Also, we had reports that there was mummies that were found in Peru that were alien mummies.
Right.
And whenever I spoke with David Grush, who was the whistleblower from the Pentagon that studied this stuff, I was actually probably not going to go because I thought that there's no way that that's real.
Of
And
course, this stuff
he
is real.
recommended that I do because he said that based on the physiology of what he's seen in some of these mummies, not all of them, some of them are faked, but some of the mummies that exist in Peru, that based on the physiology, they are congruent with what he has seen in briefings in his former role. At the end of the day, I was there to see that. Also, we had reports that there.
Okay, so not here. Let's see this.
And we are about to
Shout
find
out
out.
to Twitch.
All right, I'm going to start off by telling you that this story starts like this. Regions, ancient Iranian regions, and even Sweden. What Wikipedia doesn't seem to want to talk about are what have become known as the Paracas skulls. At first glance, they look like any other modified mummy skull, but this particular group of skulls is different. Not only do some of them have red hair, they have extra chiseled cheekbones and no sagittal suture on the top of their head. But they also have a cranial capacity way bigger than humans, like 30% bigger. So all of that is to set the stage for the drama that began to unfold around the end of 2016, around 120 miles to the southeast of the Paracas Peninsula, in the Nazca region of Peru. Yup, that Nazca. Same area where you can find those famous Nazca lines, the super huge drawings in the sand that you can only really see from the air.
We've always been
Now, just
right
for
about
reference,
this. We've always
just
been right
over
about this.
300 miles to the northeast of Nazca is Machu Picchu. So this whole little area here is rife with ancient history.
Yeah, in a lot of those places, there are legends and some tribes, talked about like how ETs would come down from the heavens to these places and be like a extraterrestrial spaceport and stuff like that way back in ancient times, thousands and thousands of years ago. That UFOs would descend on these places in the mountains and everything. Let's see here. I hate that when I go back and it here.
On the top of their head.
Yes.
But they also have a cranial capacity
Yeah,
way
for
bigger
some
than
people,
humans,
it is.
like
It
30%
lifts
bigger.
the skull. Yeah.
So all of that is to set the stage for the drama that lines, the super huge drawings in the sand that you can only ancient history and priceless artifacts. As you might imagine, Nazca is not the wealthiest area of Peru. They do
No,
okay
it's
for themselves, but
worse.
it's not an economic powerhouse by any stretch.
Dry.
So what do you get when you add a mediocre at best economy and a priceless artifact-rich environment? Huaqueros, or tomb
Right
raiders.
there.
I seriously doubt
I
they
wish
look
you
like
would
that.
do that, but
Relics of ancient civilizations and even entire mummies are big black market business in Peru. So it's not exactly the rarest thing in the world for people to make a side hustle out of finding and selling anything that they can find out in the arid desert. The first character in our little drama is Paul R. Paul approaches a French guy named Thierry Yamin, who is a well-known archaeologist in Peru and president of the Inkari Institute. He contacts Thierry and says, "Hey, asking for a friend. Are you interested in looking at these super funky alien-looking mummies we found?" After chatting for a while, we find out that the friend is Mario, not his real name. His real name would later be discovered to be Leandro Benedicto Rivera. Let's just stick with Mario. More negotiations ensue, and Paul and Mario finally agree to bring some of their samples to Thierry. Remember that these guys are basically confessing to a crime here, so they are covering their butts big time. Antiquity theft in Peru is a big no-no. Mario tells Tiri that he and his crew found a whole bunch of these things in some caves in the mountains somewhere between Nazca and Palpa. Tiri takes the samples around for some preliminary testing.
Well, like I said, in the mountains and stuff like that, there are stories that ETs would come down into these mountain areas uh, in Peru, uh, and they would be like spaceports and everything. Let me see here. Let me see. Peru. That's about Machu Picchu and these are the mountains. These places. You see that? All these places in the mountains, and there are all these legends and stuff that ETs would come down from the heavens, and these they communicate with the people. Sounds like there could be some crossbreeding as well, or not just that, but I don't know about crossbreed, but yeah, it actually does sound like could have happened. But humans, same with the pharaohs in Egypt, ancient Egypt, how they take the skulls, they take a hook in it, and they stretch it out uh, to make it be like ETs, extraterrestrials, to give them more brain power, more intelligence, etc. Um, Proving out is 2,400 meters, 430 meters of sea level. Look at this. Let's see, Tasmania, these mountains. First highest piece of Purimac River, Peru's Acameo province. This awe-inspiring archaeological site offers a unique off-beat path adventure travelers. Fortress translates to translates to horn-shaped fortress. She's relatively undiscovered by mass tourism, having only been made by National Cultural Heritage Site as recently as 2017. This hidden gem is not for the faint of hearted, though. This site this site sits above a deep ravine, a whopping 4,300 meter above sea level in comparison to Machu Picchu. That's even higher. It's only 2,430 meters. Let's see. Coral Sap is considered one of the oldest civilizations in the Americas, predating the Incas by more than 1,000 years. This ancient city is home to massive pyramids. You see, different civilizations had the pyramids. If you go back to Atlantis as well, other civilizations used their circular design, circles, and how they'd have tributaries, water for uh, boats and stuff like that. You know, according to Atlantis and parts of Africa, etc. In the Mediterranean, islands of the Mediterranean. Um, so they copy off each other quite a bit. Um, let's see, this ancient city is home to massive pyramids, piazzas, and an advanced irrigation system located on the arid Soup River Valley on the Peruvian coast. Carl thrived between 2600 and 2000 BCE, emerging roughly around the same time as Egypt and Mesopotamia. These are all connected, and I believe that they probably visited each other. I believe that the Egyptians came over here to America as well, and in the Grand Canyon, there's a story of Egyptian stuff in the Grand Canyon. Um, and people should also look up that stuff. Demonstrating the sophistication of early Peruvian societies. Um, anyways, I am getting sort of sidetracked here, but um, I just wanted to go over some of this. I don't like the way she describes this stuff in dramatic effects. But I just want to get to the story. Um, yeah. So this is Peru and stuff like that. An actual photo um, of our corpse. The mummified corpse was later identified as a human child.
As a human child. Then in 2016, he cries alien again with something called the Metapec creature, which later turns out to be a skinned monkey, and a demon fairy, which turns out to be the remains of a bat, wooden sticks, epoxy, and other unknown elements. Now, I have no idea whether this guy is a total fraud looking for a quick buck, which doesn't seem likely given his long accomplished career in journalism, or if he just wants to believe so bad that his skeptic muscle hasn't been exercised in a long time. But whatever the case, he jumps into the Nazca mummies fray. And in May of 2017, Peruvian journalist Jois Mantilla, accompanied by a team of scientists sponsored by Gaia TV, arrive in Cusco, Peru, where the mummies are being held to start their own investigation. It's important to note that unlike Jaime, who has a long history in the ufology world, Jois does not. This is not his usual beat, so he is starting with a clean slate. More researchers are getting involved and more tests are being performed. And on November 19th, 2018, test results are presented to the Peruvian government in a hearing by independent groups representing a whole slew of different disciplines from Peru, Mexico, the US, and Canada, including some pretty heavy hitters in their respective fields. Their respective conclusions, in a nutshell, are that whatever these things are, they're not fake. They don't say they're aliens, just that from what they've seen so far, they deserve...
Oh, those long fingers. Those long toes. Looks like some of my old family.
more in-depth study. Remember now, this is not the most popular project to be working on. These guys are putting their reputation of their entire careers on the line.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, before the hearing, the Ministry of Culture, who I'm going to refer to as the MOC from now on, was on board to be there, but for whatever reason, they back out at the last minute. Official reaction to the findings of the hearing? Crickets. Jump ahead to August 1st, 2019. Everyone who's been working on this case to date manages to get 4 mummies to the University of Ica in Peru, where they are put through a large...
How many have not been found is the question. How many have not been found? That's a big question. How many other, species and stuff like that.
large battery of testing from
More than meets the eye.
more Peruvian scientists. Jump ahead again to September of 2023. Jaime Maussan presents bodies to the Mexican Congress and says, "We are not alone."
Yeah, looks like so much.
He is joined by Jose de Jesus Zalce Benitez, director of the Scientific Institute for Health of the Mexican Navy, who says X-rays, 3D reconstruction, and DNA analysis has been carried out on the remains. They don't have any real answers yet, but they are working on it. 1 month later, in October of 2023, a news story hits almost all of the mainstream media outlets, showing dressed up versions of smaller mummies that had been confiscated by the MOC from the Lima airport and taken away for testing.
I don't mean to be funny like she's doing, but I just feel like I just had to. It was open. I'm sorry, forgive me.
Months later, so January of 2024, the ministry holds a press conference to show off the dolls and proclaim them as fakes. What they don't tell you is that they have a statement from the creator of the dolls that, yeah, he made them. He lives in the Nazca area and made the dolls as souvenirs, hoping to earn a little extra coin. But the MOC has chosen to keep that the quiet part and trot these dress-wearing versions out for the press to say, see, these are fake, so by association, they're all fake. And right there with them is their henchman, Flavio Estrada, an archaeologist with Peru's Institute for Legal Medicine and Forensic Sciences. Joyce Mantilla, the Peruvian journalist, actually stands up and challenges the MOC, essentially saying that the ones you have right there are fakes, but they are not the same as the ones we have at the university. But how would you know, because you've never bothered to come by and take a look? Other than these two fakes, Estrada has never studied any of the mummies at the University of Ica or anywhere else. So how can he say they're fake? Flavio Estrada's response: you're a liar and a shill for Jaime Maussan. If you can't kill the message, kill the messenger. Then in April of 2024, an American team flies to Peru to take their crack at solving the mystery. The team consists of Dr. John McDowell, a forensic odontologist who worked on identifying some of the remains from 9/11.
You can't kill the eggs off, you kill the mother hen. As simple as that.
And retired professor at the University of Colorado, Dr. William Rodriguez, a forensic anthropologist with the Maryland State Medical Examiner, and Dr. James Caruso, a U.S. Navy veteran who is now the city of Denver's chief medical examiner, and John McDowell's son, Josh, a defense attorney out of Colorado Springs. Whatever equipment the university doesn't have on hand, they bring in via the Peruvian equivalent of U-Haul so that the scientists don't have to take the mummies from university property. They're afraid the MOC is going to try to take the mummies because they've done it before. But we'll get to the MOC shenanigans in just a moment. At the conclusion of their testing, a big press conference is held on April 4th, 2024, to discuss some of the findings, issues, etc., streaming live worldwide when the Ministry of Culture decides to crash the press conference. They think one of the mummies is in the room and they want it, but they are sorely disappointed to find out they're skunked. One of their officers takes the mic and says they are filing suit to get possession of the mummies. The reason the scientists don't take the mummies off the university property
sounds like a freaking soap opera. This is like a freaking soap opera. Am I wrong?
And didn't bring any of them to the press conference is because this is not the first time the MOC has tried
As the world churns
to take the mummies. The Ministry of Culture has tried 7 times over the years to raid the university to confiscate the mummies. But, and I love this part, because they never answered the original notification letter from Thierry Yamin back in 2017 and never came out to investigate, the mummies cannot be verified as coming from a designated archaeological project, which means they are not subject to the Ministry of Culture's jurisdiction. They have no right to take them. The university tells them to go pound sand. November 7th, 2024, so Just this past November, the rector of the University of Ica, Jorge Moreno Leua, sends a letter to the Mexican Congress signed by 11 professors certifying the authenticity of the bodies they studied.
Wow.
The letter basically states that they have all come to the conclusion that whatever these things are, they are genuine specimens of a biological origin that were
I know what my
alive
family
at
looks
some
like.
point. And
I could
they're
say
not
that.
fabricated in any way. That very night, the rector gets fired. Also, this past November, the American team goes back
Guess
down
they
to
didn't like my
Peru
family.
to participate in a congressional hearing on how to proceed in moving forward with studying these mummies. I guess only time will tell whether or not Peru decides to go all in or not. So, what is all the drama about? What makes grown men resort to adult versions of, I know you are, but what am I? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Nazca mummies: Maria, Montserrat, Wawida, Victoria, Alberto. And there are many more. According to Mario, over 100. There are apparently 7 different species, some more human-like and taller, around a normal human height, and some more reptilian that stand like about 2 feet tall. All are covered in this white powdery substance, which has been
Yeah,
determined
this is
to be
modification.
diatomaceous earth, which is a naturally occurring soft sedimentary rock that is composed of the fossilized remains of
Yeah, they used to do that with the normal people there. They would mummify them just like the pharaohs did back in the old days over there. So,
diatoms, tiny aquatic microorganisms. You've probably even used it without even knowing it. It's used a lot for things like water filtration, different abrasives like toothpaste, and even as an insecticide. And it's all over the place in the Nazca Desert region. But to my knowledge, these are the only mummies discovered to ever be covered in that powder. But the powder is probably the reason we still have the mummies in the generally good condition they're in today. Diatomaceous earth, or DE, is a desiccant. It absorbs moisture. Not that moisture is a huge problem in the Nazca Desert. It averages about 2 millimeters that have gone through various levels of testing in different labs around the world. One thing to note, though, not all testing is the same. Not every country has the latest and greatest, which is why the US team is trying to convince Peru to let some of them come to the US for testing. We can't cover all of them, so I'm going to talk about Maria, one of the full-size mummies, Josefina, one of the 2-foot versions, Wawida, an infant that looks to be the same species as Maria, and Montserrat, another female a little smaller than Maria. And just for reference, the DNA testing, which we will get into more later, has pegged these mummies as being about 1,800 years old.
hold on. I need to check the internet here. I apologize. Let me see. I might have to restart on the internet. Hold on. I do apologize. Let me see. Screen might go black on this part real quick. Let me see. Let me see here. Yeah. Looks like I might have to, yeah. Alright. I think I'm going to restart my internet because it looks like there's some problems, so let me do an intermission real quick. And I'm going to restart this. It might go out. Let me see here.